I mean, fun fact, I was almost on the show. I actually auditioned in 2015 to be on the cycle that was coming up in 2016. I don't remember what the actual cycle number was, but I had auditioned and I made it 5 rounds through the interview process. But the thing that they kept asking me throughout the interviews was, when it comes to the makeover challenge, what can we change? And I said, you're not touching my hair color, but you can cut my hair.
And we are Black. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Meant to Be podcast, where we discuss all things relationships and pop culture. Today, we are diving deep into Netflix's reality check Inside America's Next Top Model documentary, where Tyra Banks gaslit us all for 3 hours before telling us to get ready because she's about to do it all over again with another cycle. We're talking consent, mental health, and why nostalgia hits different in 2026. If this is your first episode, welcome. You get this one for free because it's our soft launch together. But if this is your second time hanging with us, you're family now, and it's time to hard launch and make it official. So here's our keep it real deal. Wherever you're listening or watching, do us one favor and hit subscribe or follow. That's how you keep the show alive, and we can keep it real and keep it kind. Okay, before we drag it, let's set the table. What is this doc, and why is everybody talking about it? So this is a 3-episode Netflix docuseries revisiting American Next Top Model's legacy with new interviews featuring Tyra Banks, Ken Mock, Jay Manuel, Miss J, Nigel Barker, and a lot of the contestants. And I think the ground started to swell during the pandemic. I think that's what they were saying. With everybody having all this free time and everything being available on streaming, everyone started to watch America's Next Top Model, and people were not happy with what they were seeing, and a lot of it was on Tyra. I never personally watched Top Model growing up because I wasn't that kind of girl yet, but seeing this documentary now, I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to give Tyra her 10s because the original idea of a model competition show that also follows the girls living in a shared home is genius. But I feel like they lost that plot like so fast and really leaned into the reality aspects. And I would definitely say they leaned too far.
They lost the plot very, very fast because, I mean, Tyra's talking about how she wants all this inclusion. She wants any skin tone. She wants any size. She wants any height. And then the show launches and it is very skinny, tall girls, like teeny tiny, that are still getting fat shamed. And I air quote around fat shame because none of them are big. But yeah, even Whitney, in my opinion, is nowhere near a plus size girly. That's the thing. I'm like, if you're gonna advocate and say plus size, then bring in more plus size, bring actual plus size. Like, to me, all these girls are just so, and that's coming from like a smaller girl. Like, I am a smaller fit woman, but like at the same time, I'm like, I'm here for the inclusion. I'm here for the equality of anyone being able to model, runway, print, whatever. So for her to at first say like, oh, I want it to be all of this, and then it's only like a fraction of that. I do love that she still had an array of races there. But then when it came to actual like physicalities, height, like even the one judge, when she was like, I think this girl still needs to lose another like 30 pounds. And then Tyra's like, that would make her 90 pounds. And she's like, even better. How is that realistic? How is that motivating? How, like, that's such like a, like that, like your self-esteem. And then like the girls going back and watching the season, I'm sure that girl didn't feel good about hearing that. Like, yeah, she lost the plot very, very early, very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I think that stuff kind of set the tone for like what reality TV was for a very long time, because I don't think we really have those things nowadays. Not entirely, but definitely back then, I think that's kind of what Tyra was like alluding to. She was like, it was the times, guys. Don't blame me. Like, this is what everybody wanted, not just me. Y'all was the ones watching it. So like, yeah.
And here's the thing. I watched the show when I was a kid, of course. Like, I model now. I wanted to model then. I mean, Miss J is the one that taught me how to walk. Like, watching the show and watching how Miss J taught, I say she, I don't know if her pronouns are like they, them, and if she does it. If
Miss J, I feel like everybody was like, calling her.
Yeah, I feel like I call her like her or him or they all the time. But they were the ones that taught me how to walk. how to do runway and why my walk like led me to Paris Fashion Week. Like that, like they were the reason why. So for me growing up watching the show, of course, though, like it's hard because if you do look at all of the other shows around that time, we had Jersey Shore, we had Survivor, we had American Idol, we had a lot of like we had Fear Factor. Oh my god, like we did have a lot of shows that like pushed the barrier, pushed the button on what people should do. So like there is only one piece of me that I do kind of agree with when she's like, "Well, everyone else was doing it, so why can't we?" I get that, but it doesn't make it right. If everyone else is doing it, then make yours better, make yours different. Like even as a kid watching it and seeing the episode where they like swapped everybody's races, I remember looking at that and being like, "Is that okay?" Like I remember as a child and I was like, "Is this it just didn't sit right with me, regardless of if you're saying, oh, but everybody wants this and everybody wants to see the makeovers and everybody wants to see the crazy." And it's just like, okay, but there's a point at which you are pushing it too far, regardless of what everybody else is doing around you. That shouldn't be an excuse as to why you did it as well. And it's okay to own up to it. It's okay to be like, listen, I messed up. I did some bad stuff and let me make it right. Let me apologize to the girls. Let me do all let me start there. Let me reach out. Let me make amends. Let me, you know, own up to the stuff you did. So then that way we can all move on in a better way.
Yeah, like when you put it like that, looking back and knowing we had, the Jersey Shores and the Fear Factor, I definitely see how that stuff kind of bled into America's Next Top Model. But I also think about like modeling in general, and I'm like,
Or
none of this
eating
has to do with
cockroaches.
any of this.
Yeah, literally. And like some of the girls said, like the photos would be so over the top, the makeup, the hair, the looks, that they would get their photos for their portfolio and then go into a casting and they're like, we can't use any of this because you're oversaturated, your makeup is too much, the editing is crazy, the background is too busy. It made it really hard for them to step out into the modeling, into real modeling world, because again, America's Next Top Model was the reality version of modeling. It wasn't like, in my opinion, like, yes, it was still a form of modeling, but not one that's gonna get them the jobs they're looking for outside of that.
Which is crazy because I feel like the shows, well, here's the thing. I can say that the shows nowadays lead to success. I feel like the only show nowadays that really leads to success post the show is like a drag race. Because
Yeah.
I feel like American Idol for the longest time hasn't had a star. I've
No.
never known anyone to be like successful from The Voice.
Melanie Martinez.
I have no idea who
Oh,
that
okay.
is. That's why I'm like, I've never known anyone. I'm sure there are people out there, but for me, I don't know anyone that's been like this superstar from these shows. And I know people are doing those reality shows. Thank you.
You're
And it's
welcome.
getting them to shows like Traders and stuff. So like
Yeah.
there's room for it, but overall, I don't know. Which
Yeah.
whenever they do the next Traders, I feel like they should include these America's Next Top Model girls. Let's get them something out of this trauma they've been through.
I know. And especially when the one girl had said, like, at that time in the industry, people didn't wanna book you, because you were such a name. Like, "Oh, well, you're America's Next Top Model winner. I don't want you walking in my show because everybody's eyes are gonna be on you." And now it's like the roles have completely reversed. You can't get in a show unless you have a certain amount of followings and influence or you're a celebrity. And it's kind of ridiculous because, like, people like me who put like so much into it. I train my walk, I train my face, I train my poses, I've trained myself for years and I only have 5,000 followers, which like for a lot of people too, that's a lot. Like that's a lot for me. But now when I go to cast for shows, some shows are literally like, don't even put a casting in if you have less than 100,000 followers or less than, I've even seen some for less than, like, don't cast if you have less than 10,000 followers even. And it's like, I could so easily go and just pay for that amount of following and get a show, but that's not who I am and that's not how I do things. And so like I just grind harder and put the work in, and and do what needs to be done. But it is just crazy to me how like those girls back then didn't even get a chance because they were said that that's where they came from. And nowadays, if America's Next Top Model, which clearly you're starting back up with a cycle 25, these girls and guys, because they started adding guys just recently, their opportunities are going to be endless at this point. I mean, even Winnie Harlow, like Winnie Harlow came from the show and she didn't win, but she blew up. I mean, she was my favorite. I loved her when she was on the show, and I still follow her to this day because I'm obsessed with her. But Niall, who won, and he is an incredible model too, but like they are on stage. They're like, I see Winnie doing shows all the time because I don't know if it's because of America's Next Top Model, but the doors are.
You ask Winnie, it's not.
Yeah, if you ask Winnie, it's not. And that's what I'm saying. Like the girls in the original early on seasons when the early 2000s was not an influencer filled lifestyle, it does not help them at all. By the time she went on there, I think it was 2017, 2018. So we were already living in the realm. TikTok was already out. Snapchat was already out. Facebook, Instagram, Vine, all these platforms were made. And that's when like the influencer world started opening up and like companies now realizing like, oh, let me get these people immediately because they already have a following. They've been on a show. They've done this. They've done that. Like they'll automatically boost the viewers, the ratings, the people coming to the shows.
Yeah. So the big reason this debate is so messy is Tyra. So let's talk about how she's framed in this documentary. So it includes Tyra, and I feel like it had to because, you know, there needs to be a big reason in why people are watching the documentary. And with so much of that backlash being like Tyra was going crazy, Tyra was doing too much and all this stuff back then, you kind of have to have her. But she's kind of like, her and the show is like positioned as groundbreaking and harmful, which I definitely think there's argument for both of them. But I think a lot of what she says, she does a lot of like passing the buck, and she's like, it wasn't me, it was a lot of production. So it's like, was she the machine or was she the face of the machine?
Every single time they talked to her about something that happened on the show, she never took ownership. She never said, yeah, I did that and I'm sorry. Like, and if she did, it was for something that was very small. And that to me really pissed me off because like she said, like, well, I don't really handle production. Ma'am, then what is an executive producer do? Like what do you do?
I'm not going to lie to you. I see everybody gets an executive producer credit, and I also don't know what they do. So maybe she doesn't do anything, but she
then,
created the show. So I'm like,
yeah,
you're the one going out there saying, this is the idea that I have. Let's make this happen. So like, if you're not at the helm of it, then like, what's the point of even being here?
Yeah. And she did get fact checked because there was a video that released and I don't know how viral, but it got to me where there was a clip of her in the documentary saying, well, I don't really handle that side of production, so I don't know what happens. Cut to a cycle in 2008 where she says, I was in the back and I was editing that over and over and over again. I saw that video like 10 times, da da da. So then which one is it? Were you in the back editing and cutting and doing all these things like a producer? Or did you just claim the production like title and then was just the face? So that to me also was crazy because I'm like, you on the show said how you're in the back behind the scenes watching the girls, watching what's going on. So then to me, I'm like, okay, so you are seeing everything and you are choosing to ignore it. And even the fact that like Ken was like, oh, well, this is treated like almost like a documentary. It wasn't a documentary. It was a reality TV show. And you guys chose what you wanted to record and what you didn't want to record. And like, that's leading up to basically Shandi and what happened with Shandi. And they were like,
we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I
got
that.
Okay. But yeah, like, I definitely think that she had more of a role than she wants to claim. And I feel like she thinks she thought that documentary was going to do something for her and like clear her name and make her look good. And it's so funny because I'm like, I don't think she realizes what kind of documentary she's in right now. Honey, we're exposing you. Ma'am, look into my eyes, babe. You're not going to gaslight me in a trench coat. We see what's happening, babe. And I think you're on a different documentary where you think that this is like making you look better. Because the way she was talking, she was still doing like her like very that presence that she tries to pull. It just seemed very, very much fake, very much an act again for the cameras and for the lights and for the show. And I don't know. It was just funny to me because I felt like she was in a different documentary than what was there. Because she was definitely, they were trying to expose her and she just was like, but I wasn't the problem. It was my show. I created it. I was the producer of it, but I didn't do anything else. Girl, what?
I don't know. I feel like even beyond her, I noticed when Jay Manuel was saying like he wanted to leave the show, I think cycle 11, and they kind of like came to an agreement that he was gonna like stay, even though like Tyra kind of like treated him terribly during that time. But then like he stayed for like 7 more cycles after that. I
Yeah,
feel like a lot of people were like in it for the money and saying like I don't really have control of these things, but like y'all are the creative directors and the executive producers. So like if y'all can't put your foot down, then like what are we doing here? Because like someone has to be doing something and like
right.
protecting the people instead of just y'all getting y'all pockets lined.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, if everybody's blaming everybody else, then y'all were the problem. Like, if y'all are passing the buck to this person, and then they're trying to claim that it wasn't Tyra, it wasn't Ken, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. So then bring us the people whose problem it was. Bring us the creatives then. Bring us the actual producer then. Sit them down in front of us because we want to hear from them then. If you didn't do anything, then bring us the people that did. And you didn't. I mean, there was no one else to talk to. Like, girl, please. It was you, babe. Like,
That's crazy. All right. Now let's get into the moments that age like milk. So looking at, and I think for me, especially coming into this like blind, I genuinely thought this was just a regular modeling show. Nothing crazy happens. And then you see in this quick 3-hour documentary how they talk about these girls that are what I think you said like 6 to 8 makes you plus size or something like that.
it's like, I think once you hit a size 8, you're considered plus size. 4, 6 is like an in between, and like 00 to a 2 is like apparently perfect for runway. That's like the size that they're looking for. And I mean, honestly, even in today's industry, even though there is more inclusion, majority of runway, they still want what they call sample sizes, which is ridiculous to me because I personally feel like I would rather want more realistic than unrealistic walking down the runway so that more people can see like, oh, that looks good on her, that would look good on me. Seeing somebody around the same size to be like, okay, they pull it off, I could pull that off. So that's where it gets like tricky with how they look at things and sizing and everything. Like, I mean, I'm a 4'6" now. And even one time I remember I was at New York Fashion Week and I was in the back getting ready for one of my shows, and there was a designer that one of their models didn't show. So I was like, they were like, oh, can you come over here and try on our skirt? We want to see, because they liked my look. So I walked over there and I go to try on their skirt and they go to put it up on me and it would not fit past like my thighs. And I'm not joking. This person literally looked at me and was like, your ass is too fat. I'm sorry. And they took the skirt off and they're like, you can't walk for us. And I'm like, which is fine because I wasn't going to walk for you. Like, I technically wasn't assigned to your designer to walk for anyway. And I see why, because your sizes are crazy. And he was like, we want 00 to 2 models and you're too big. You're too big. And I was like, damn, okay, you don't have to say my ass is, which, thank you, because that was nice to hear. But also at the same time, I'm like, no, it's not. So that's the thing, is like, even in today's age, there are still designers out there like that. And I don't know. It's a wild industry. It is wild.
I don't understand because like this is not to fat shame anybody. I've never known Tyra to be like super skinny. Like I've always known her to like have curves, and even in the documentary, she's in this trench coat, but she is basically spilling out of it. And I feel like as not just like a generation, but like as a society, I feel like
as a society,
we are all like enamored with fat asses and big titties. So like, why is it that y'all don't have these women out there and y'all make them feel bad? But like, that's clearly what everyone's like, we all love. So why is it so difficult to have these women also
yeah. But
get
then
this
if
love?
they do have them, it's celebrities, influencers who, no offense, don't know how to runway model. And that's the part that irritates me is I'm like, there are so many other women that could have the chance to do this, but like y'all choose the celebs or the influencers that have kind of done a build a body, not like just natural beauty, natural curves. There's nothing wrong if you want to have what you want, like your own look, whatever. That's not what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that like the women that are naturally curvy, naturally just built like that and gorgeous, like I feel like should have more chances. I don't feel like you should have a following to be able to walk. I miss the days where your skill got you into things. And nowadays, like, I mean, even in everyday work, even in my job as a nail tech, like, it sucks because it's like if I don't have a certain set of following, if I don't have reels, if I don't have content, if I don't have my stuff shown for everyone, I'm not a good nail tech. And that's literally the world we live in now. And it's ridiculous because it's like, I literally had somebody once, like, sit down and they were like, "Oh, I scrolled through your Instagram and it looks great, but I want this design. Can you do it? You never posted a design like this. So I don't know if you can do it." And I'm just like, just because I don't post it doesn't mean I don't know how to do it. And that's the thing is like it's almost the same like everywhere now. It's like if you don't like promote or push or show that you do this or you don't have a certain amount of following or reviews or whatever, then you're not good enough. It follows into so many like lanes now that I'm like, I don't understand why Tyra being somebody who has a kind of curvier, pretty figure wouldn't want that more for the show.
I don't know. But I know what they did have on the show, a lot of shock value, because I feel like they definitely took a lot of vulnerability and made it the plot, and the contestants were pushed very hard just for good TV. So some things, like I said, I thought this was just a regular modeling show, but they're having these girls doing like bulimic shoots or drug shoots, and then like the one girl who had to like act like she got shot when
Yeah.
her mom has actually been shot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what does any of this have to do with modeling? Because where would any of these pictures be shown or be used for? Like, no wonder these girls couldn't use this stuff for their portfolio, because
Yeah.
who wants to see this as like what kind of reference shoot would you get for this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Especially knowing that like in the modeling world, these women are actually doing drugs and being bulimic. I just don't know what the thought process was and why it just didn't click to them that these things were not good. And then they decide to do race swapping, and they didn't do it just once, they do it twice.
They
So
do it
it's like
twice. So
I
it's like she tried to pull the after we did it, we knew it was you did it twice. You thought it was that good to bring it back and do it again. Like, that blew me. I was like, you didn't just bring this back. You didn't just bring it once and then was like, oh, we probably shouldn't have done that. You're like, oh, let's do it again. Oh my God. Yeah, that one was wild for me.
yeah, I just don't know how they got there. And like the fact that this went on for 24 cycles is crazy. But I think one of the biggest or like the shocking things in there is the part where the doc stops being like fringe nostalgia and becomes like genuinely disturbing. And that's where Shandi comes in. And the
Yeah.
fact that this woman did this documentary as well, like, oh my God, I could not
Props to her.
imagine reliving all this stuff again.
I couldn't imagine.
So for those of y'all that don't know, it revisits Shandi Sullivan's Cycle 2 Milan storyline and how it was portrayed on the show. And the current coverage kind of emphasizes that, like, oh, we didn't know. We thought it was just cheating. You know, we gave all these girls alcohol and these random guys that they don't know. And they like filmed all this stuff. And the thing that was like super weird to me is like they were kind of like saying it without saying it, that like, yes, back then we thought it was just cheating, but now this girl was sexually assaulted, and they let it happen and they showed it on TV. And like the super weird thing is that like they talk about how Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson had the moment at the Super Bowl, and it feels like they wanted the Shandi stuff to be even more like explicit, but because of the Super Bowl stuff, there were a lot of restrictions that they were like really harping on. So they were like, okay, we can't show all this stuff. But it feels like they were basically going to show a sex tape on live TV.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because that means that they were there the entire time. The entire time this girl is getting raped and she's blackout drunk. Like, that to me is what just gets me because they didn't think for a second to just stop and check on her and be like, hey, he is crossing some lines now. Do you consent to like, they didn't think to I mean, you can tell when somebody is not with it anymore from drinking. Like, you can tell. You didn't think 1 second to just be like, "Hey, honey, like, are you okay? Do you need to go? Should we send him home?" They didn't think to send him home. Like, that I don't know. That to me is just crazy. Like, you didn't think that, okay, it's getting to a point that it's too far. He needs to leave, like, as production, as TV. And again, for them to claim, oh, well, it was like a documentary and these girls knew what they signed up for, that we don't step in. So you're telling me you'll sit there and watch a woman essentially get raped on TV and then spin the story that she's a cheater and make her, I feel like she believed that for a hot minute too, because everybody else is telling her, like, yeah, you cheated on him. Like, you didn't know you had sex last night? No, because she was blackout drunk and didn't consent. Oh, yeah, to me, I think that's wild. And the fact that they even said, like, oh, well, if it weren't for the Janet Jackson situation, like, we would have given more. It's just so gross. It's gross.
And like they knew that she had a boyfriend, so it's like I know in theory, like if someone's gonna cheat, someone's gonna cheat. But like even then, like you wouldn't think to step in and be like, "Hey, are you sure you want to do this?"
Yeah.
And then beyond that, why the hell are y'all bringing them guys at this party and a whole bunch of wine? Like this what?
Because they wanted this exact moment to happen with at least one of the girls.
This girl who's like 110 pounds had like 2 bottles of wine herself. She said, so I'm like,
She
why?
didn't eat. Because they barely fed them.
Out in the sun all day doing all these shoots and stuff, like, and I think that's what, like, that has nothing to do with modeling. So that's where I'm like, we really should focus on like the actual modeling aspect of this, like really show these girls what it's like to be a model and like really set them up for success whether they win or lose the show. But
Yeah,
what do I
because
know?
it's modeling slash reality TV. They wanted the excitement factor of reality mixed with modeling, and yeah, that kind of stuff, that was crazy to me. That was crazy. And I mean, even me when I watched it when I was younger, like, I was like, "Oh my gosh, she cheated on him." Like, they really spun the narrative very well when I was a kid watching it growing up, because, like, I literally was like, "Oh my gosh, that's what they all called it, cheating." So because then I'm thinking like, "Oh, she knew, she was in her right mind if she did that." Like, you think like, "Oh, well, they recorded this, so she clearly knew." No, like, she had no idea, and it's just sad to find out, like, all these years later that it was definitely something different, and they just spun the story to make her look crazy. The poor thing, like, her whole life. Like, that's ridiculous.
You know, I couldn't imagine. I'm hoping that she's doing much better and like hopefully doing this documentary helped her like either find some closure or get something off of her chest or like really speak her mind. But I genuinely could not imagine going through that.
Yeah.
All right. So clearly the show is coming back for a 25th
Mm.
cycle, but do we feel like the show can actually exist today? Or what would it take for it to exist?
It's really a catch-22. I feel like it could stand the test of time in today's day and age, honestly, because of the influencer world we live in now. So I could see the new cast be a lot of influencers, because shows nowadays love to find influencers and use them. I don't think it should be Tyra as the one hosting and kind of calling the shots personally. But I mean, if you noticed, none of the girls from the later cycles came. None of the guys from the later cycles came onto the documentary to talk about it. And I think it's because that the later seasons were probably less traumatic to them, and probably because I did notice, like, in the later seasons, like, right before they had ended the show, that, like, at least from what I saw, and could be different, it was definitely more mellowed out at that point. But so I could see it coming back for I it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. 'Cause they just have to do it right. That's all they have to do. They just have to do it right and do it where they keep it very, like, about the modeling, about the work that people put into this career, 'cause we take it seriously. Like, somebody who models, like, I take it very seriously. It is a passion of mine. Like, I mean, fun fact, I was almost on the show. I actually auditioned in 2015 to be on the cycle that was coming up in 2016. I don't remember what the actual cycle number was, but I had auditioned and I made it 5 rounds through the interview process. And that last round, they told me that if I made it, I would get the call that I made it on the show. But the thing that they kept asking me throughout the interviews was, when it comes to the makeover challenge, what can we change? And I said, you're not touching my hair color, but you can cut my hair. I was like, I don't care if you cut my hair short. You cannot touch the color of my hair. I don't know if that's the reason why I ended up not making it on the show, because they love the makeover challenges where they turn, someone from, like, for me, example, probably a redhead into a bleach blonde and chop it off and make it into like a pixie cut. Like, so I just described my sister. My sister is a dirty blonde with a pixie cut. So I was basically close. But they were doing crazy stuff like that during the makeover challenges, and I kept refusing. Like, every time they asked me, they were like, "What can we do with your look?" And I was like, "You're not taking the hair color away from me. That's an absolute no." So I'm glad that I stuck to my guns. I'm glad that I wasn't on the show, because now that I'm looking at it, I actually can, like, after, like, thinking about all of it and, like, going through this whole podcast, I actually do agree with Winnie. I doubt that the show actually got her anything or too far, because I'm like, as we were talking about, I'm like, okay, how many of the other girls from the later seasons made it big? None that I remember. So I could 100% believe that Winnie didn't use anything from the show to make it to where she is now, because she grinded and put her head down and worked hard. And because I'm like, I don't see really anybody other than her and Niall that came out of it actually doing stuff. And the only thing that I saw Niall in afterwards was a few fashion shows, and he did Dancing with the Stars. So that was like the only things. So yeah, they kept asking me makeover challenge what I would do. I said not much. Fifth round of interviews, they of course had me like stand, walk, pose. They wanted to see me like they always want to see me in like black leggings, black tank. So I was like that close, and I was only 18. And I'm very thankful that I ended up not being on the show, because looking at what I'm hearing now about the girls and like everything, I'm like, "Oy." Like, I'm glad that didn't happen to me. I'm glad that I had something protecting me and not having me do that, because I don't know where I'd be today if I actually did go on the show. But yeah, it was something that in the moment I was devastated. I was devastated when the 5th interview came around, and then I got the email, "We're so sorry, we went a different direction." I was sad, but then looking back, I was like, "Oh, thank God." 'Cause that would have been bad.
I could not imagine. I'm very glad that you didn't go on the show. I don't know if we would have met, but like the things that they probably would have had done to you would have been wild
Yeah.
and out there for forever. So,
Oh, for sure. Like, out there for forever. And I'm just like the poor girl with the teeth stuff when they jacked up her teeth. Like, and when they closed Danielle's beautiful gap, like, he hated that for them. And I'm glad that I did not go on that show and let anything happen to me, because, yeah, I would not know where I would be today.
no, it's a lot. I know the marketer in me is like, it's a genius idea to kind of like use this as like a backdoor pilot into season 25, because people are going to be like, okay, well, I watched all that, so let me see what they're going to do for
I
this new
know.
one. And like, that'll give them the boost for that 25th season. But whether or not that 26th one goes well, it's going to be up to however they do season 25. I definitely think they have to, make sure that they're focusing on that
Yeah.
consent stuff,
Yeah.
being able to like let these girls opt out of things or just not do things like a lot of these crazy makeovers, have people on set. I think they're called intimacy coordinators on like movies and stuff. So like having people like that and like mental health support on the set would be great. Some kind of like trauma protocols, just like a lot of things that I feel like have evolved over the years so that
Yeah.
like they are safe, but like just making sure that you really protect these people, because like you don't have a show without them, and like they're the talent when it comes to
Yep.
this stuff. So yeah.
Well, and I definitely think coming out with the Cycle 25, knowing that the documentary is aired and the dirty laundry is out there, I do hope that they take it seriously and they take care of these next group of people that are going to be there. And make sure that they're going to be okay and taken care of. And especially because they're going to have a lot of eyes on them. And now with the new wave of technology and the way that we communicate, like, it will be known very quickly if something goes down on the show. So they're going to be walking on like the thinnest of ice. And I mean, I definitely like, again, coming from that industry, like, I always have that like worry for people in the industry to make sure that they're safe, they're being okay, they're being taken care of, because a lot of people do like to take advantage of you or try to take advantage of you in the industry. So it's just like, I definitely think the show has potential, but they need to be very careful, very careful. And with, like you said, how they push things, because I will say this, in the modeling industry, they do ask you a lot. They ask of you a lot. Like, they do ask to change your look. Let's dye it, let's cut it, let's change it. Like, they do. But you have a better chance of saying no. They won't probably accept you at that point. Sometimes they're just like, okay, then if you're not willing to do this, then we're not going to take you on as talent. But in the way that the show did it, they almost like shamed these people for not changing or not doing it. Like, it turned into a very like, oh, I'm so disappointed in you. Like, let's talk about it. Oh, well, if you don't do it, we're going to kick you off the show. Oh, you like, why wouldn't you want to do this? Don't you want to look better? Don't you want to do? No, just enhance my beauty, but let me still be myself. Like, and that's where I feel like they blurred the lines with that kind of stuff. So I just hope that they do more of like a job respecting these models that are going to go on the show, because in the industry, a lot of times it's a tough industry and you have to have very thick skin. The amount of times I have been yelled at or talked to a certain way because they're just trying to get stuff moving and we got to roll with it. I've been yelled at. I've been screamed at. I have been like, you can't take it personal. You just have to keep moving. Like, it's one of those things that, like, because everything is very like, there is a specific time, setup, movement, go. Like, it's very fast paced. Like, if you're not in your makeup chair getting ready, you're getting yelled at. If you're not in the clothes, you're getting yelled at. If you're not behind stage one time, you're getting replaced. They replace girls and guys so fast. You're not at your point where you need to be. They will pull the next model that they see that looks like you or similar to you. Or maybe they're like, you know what? I like that look anyways. They're a completely different person. Come on over and get the clothes on. They do that. So the cutthroatness is honestly in reality. Um, and I mean, I could talk about this for hours and hours because being in the industry, like, I've seen a lot. I haven't seen it all, but I have seen a lot. And so it is hard being in the industry and looking back at the show and seeing certain things, like the way they spoke to them, the way they treated them, the way they talked to them. That is in modeling. That is a part of it. So you really have to know yourself, to respect yourself, and know when it's okay to say, no, I don't want to do that. But unfortunately, in the earlier seasons of the show, they did not allow the girls to have that voice. So I just really hope that in the seasons to if they have more seasons in cycle 25, that they learn, hey, let's respect these people that are coming and doing this because they are putting a lot into this.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be interesting to see what they do for this season, but I can be pretty sure the world is going to at least tune to that, and we will see if it gets farther. All right. Been a long episode. All hearts clear?
Yeah.
Guys, I'm sure you guys have already talked about it, but go ahead and comment down below. Did the documentary change the way that you remember America's Next Top Model, and what reality show would you like to see reality check next? There's so many out there. We can get into Big
Oh my
Brothers,
gosh.
Survivor, Drag Race, all these shows. Why not? Let's see what's going on behind
Let's
the scenes.
expose them all. Let's go.
All right. Rachel, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on Instagram, and it's at rosegold_Ray, RAE. Or you can find me on TikTok. That's rosegoldray. I also have my nail page, and it is Nails by Rachel W, RACHAEL. Marvin, where can the people find you?
You guys can follow me on Instagram at Marvin_Martian10. Martian is spelled MAR.
Or
AN, the number 10. You can follow the podcast on Instagram and TikTok at Meant to Be Pod. That's MEANT, number 2, BEPOD. And of course, email us at meanttobepod@gmail.com. Guys, the next episode is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to clue this one in soon, but she's going to like it. I know she's going to like
What
it. It's
is
gonna be
it?
fun. I literally just said I
Tell
was going to tell you
me.
soon.
What
right after
is
this.
it? Fine, don't tell
Not
me.
for the people. Okay. But we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Until then, make sure you keep it real, keep it kind. See you then.
Bye, everybody. Goodbye. Goodbye.